of two ways. Nobody was sitting down because everybody was already gone and had their mind on shopping or whatever. Or everybody would come because all your work was caught up. So I'm glad, that was the case. So welcome. Today, Jody from Student Wellness and Health Promotion. I almost messed that up, Doug. And Student Health Center is going to give a talk on the skinny, on holiday weight gain. And Jessica made a very good smelling lunch. How is it? It smells really good. I've been smelling this all morning. So, without further ado, I'm going to pass it on just so that way we're running a little late right now. I want to make sure there's plenty of time for questions and everything. And everybody enjoy your holidays as well. We'll pick back up with this next quarter. We don't have a date set, but we're kind of keeping on the third Friday of the month, so we don't have a presenter lined up. And then also kind of a heads up at the end of January, the 29th, I think it was, we're going to have the New Year, New You event again. And maybe some of you have come to that. It's kind of like a mini health fair that we'll have here, kind of bringing on the healthcare providers and different departments on campus to promote being healthy in the new year. And that's kind of the kickoff for us. So, and Diane will be back then. She's coming back January 4th, so she is returning to us. All right, with that, I will pass it over. Are you off mute too?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Are we good?
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you for inviting me to speak today on the skinny on holiday weight gain. And I appreciate everybody coming today, the last Friday, kind of before the big holiday break. The fact that you came today just really shows how much you value your health and value yourself during this time of year. Taking time, there's other things that you can do at this time of day. And so it's nice to see, that people make this a priority is really important. So let's talk for a minute about some of the common thoughts about holiday weight gain. So tell me, what are some things that you hear about holiday weight gain? What was that?
It's all about sweets.
It's all about sweets. Okay, it feels like they're everywhere, right? So do you feel like sweets are what really promotes most of the holiday weight gain?
Pretty much.
Okay, anybody? Alcohol.
Something to drink,
Yeah, that's another one where people maybe don't drink too much during the year, but this is that time of year where it's kind of festive, and so maybe you have a few more cocktails than you normally do. Eggnog, that's another one. We're gonna hit both, actually all three of those topics today. How about weight gain in general? Like how much do you hear tossed around? Like how many pounds most people gain around this kind of 6-week time from Thanksgiving through the New Year's? 5 to 10? Or like a whole dress size or pant size? So here's some good news. It's actually a myth. On average, they did a study at Texas Tech University where they had 48 men and 100 women, and they monitored their weight from Thanksgiving through New Year's. And the average weight gain, and this correlates with other studies done, by the way, the average weight gain for men was 2 pounds. The average weight gain for women was 1 pound.
Oh, really?
So it's not as bad as you think. But we'll talk about why it becomes problematic. Because 1 pound doesn't sound like a lot. That seems, fairly manageable to take off. But we'll see how easy it is to take that off. How about exercise during the holidays and holiday weight gain? What do you hear about that? Does it seem like exercise can
By the wayside, other than shopping.
Shopping if you cardio park, right? You got to park at the back of the parking lot, and that's a great way actually to get in some extra steps instead of spending all that time driving, circulating around looking for the best closest spot. Park at the way back where there's lots of spots, and then walk in. I always try and do that. So a lot of people feel like if you exercise during the holidays, that'll kind of keep that extra weight gain at bay. And that actually, unfortunately, is also a myth. Again, they looked at the similar group of people through Texas Tech University, and half of them exercised, half of them didn't. weight gain was the same in both groups. Now, what we don't know is, what if you exercise regularly anyway? Well, if you already are somebody who, let's say, goes to the gym 3 or 4 times a week or goes running, if you don't ramp it up, then you're not really compensating for the increased alcohol or the increased sweets and things like that. If you're somebody who doesn't exercise, then certainly if you set your intention to start exercising over this period of time, then it can make a difference. But if you're just doing the same old exercise routine, that's not going to be enough to account for those extra calories. So when you think about it, it makes sense. You can't just rely on your regular exercise routine if you are going to be indulging more in some extra calories. And then we mentioned, like, the whole New Year's Eve resolution thing, right? Like, we'll lose it all in January, right? It's a new year. Now we know the average weight gain, 1 to 2 pounds, not so bad, but guess what? Most people don't end up losing that pound or 2 pounds. The end of a decade, you've gained about 10 pounds, 10 to 20 pounds. And I think, if you historically looked back, and we have a fairly young audience, but if you maybe looked back at your own patterns, you might see, because sometimes people come to me and they'll say, I don't know, the weight gain just kind of crept up on me. It didn't seem like a lot. 1 pound, you don't feel that too much, 1 pound. But 1 pound that you don't take off, and then every year you add 1 more, and you get kind of used to it because it's pretty slow and steady, but all of a sudden, you're up a couple sizes. So trying to really address that weight gain when it is small and doable is important, and we'll talk about the best way to go about doing that. So rise up, start fresh, see the bright opportunity in each new day. I chose this slide because every day is a new opportunity to make some changes in your lifestyle. You don't have to look back at the past and get stuck in it. It is good to reflect on some past behaviors that you feel like have contributed to weight gain in general, or even holiday weight gain in particular. But look at each day as a new opportunity to really start something fresh and new that's going to be positive and healthy for your lifestyle. And remember, there's 365 days in a year. So when we're talking about the holidays, we're talking especially from Thanksgiving to New Year's. I mean, not every day of those days is a holiday, right? I mean, it might feel like it in your office setting if there's all of a sudden from Halloween, there's leftover candy, and then, every day somebody's bringing in treats. But for the most part, out of 365 days, this isn't a huge chunk of time. So I always tell people when I'm counseling them, if 80% of the time you make healthy food choices and lifestyle choices, 20% of the time you get the wiggle room to just indulge in some things just because they taste good, right? And it, to me, is the same thing with looking at the year-long calendar. You've got plenty of days to make some great choices. The holidays are going to be full of some extra special things, and you're going to learn how to pick and choose from those. So let's get started with just setting your intention, right? So things don't happen unless you actually put some thought into them. You can't go in, and obviously you coming today, you've already set an intention that you care about this topic, or that you just wanted a delicious lunch today, right? But let's think about, what your intentions are, and then think about waking up and working out, because if you start your day with something positive like meditation or exercise, you're really kind of setting the groundwork for the rest of the day to be positive and healthy. So does anybody ever notice when you exercise in the morning, you tend to make better food choices throughout the day than when you exercise late in the day? So exercising in the morning, first of all, you've put some time and effort into it, right? So you kind of don't want to derail your efforts by then hitting In-N-Out Burger. And if you decide to save your exercise for late in the day, you sometimes have things that come up. All of a sudden you get a call, your kid is sick and you got to go pick them up. So, then you don't get that workout. Or traffic ended up being really heavy. You got home a lot later than you anticipated. So another thing to derail your workout. So if you're able to start your day with some form of exercise, I really think that's the best way to go. But we'll talk about ways to make that manageable and achievable. And then prioritizing, just deciding what really is a priority for you. So I know you're eating, but while you are enjoying your lunch, I gave you 2 pieces of paper, a blue and a red card. And what I'd like you to do, on one side of the red card, is I'm gonna have you choose a priority. So we've got healthy eating, drinking in moderation, setting aside time for yourself, and spending time with people you care about. I want you to write down one of those as the most important priority for you personally this holiday season. So healthy eating, drinking in moderation, setting aside time for yourself, or spending time with the people you care about. And then what I'd like to do before you take your next bite of food is close your eyes for a second. And I want you to think about what the worst you feels like and looks like on January 2nd if you don't set your intentions for the holidays and things really get derailed and you indulge in all the things that you decided you weren't going to try and indulge in, and you drank too much, and the anxiety of the holidays and the crazy family friction for some people really got the worst of you. What do you feel and look like? Now I'd like you to take a deep breath, and with your eyes closed, I want you to think about what the ideal you feels and looks like. Imagining you're the healthiest you at the end of the holidays, having accomplished the intentions that you set today. Okay, you can open your eyes. All right, thank you. Better? You feel better? Did you look better? Okay, so let's start with some exercise traditions. Starting a new tradition in your family is a great way to go, or even just a personal new tradition for yourself. So think about some family fun runs you could go on, some new hikes. Orange County has beautiful hiking areas. We're so blessed to have great weather really year-round. So do something kind of outside of your normal. Maybe it's a bike ride with a friend, 30-day workout challenges. Has anybody ever done any 30-day workout challenges? Okay, a couple people. So I used to work over at a fitness center, and some of the trainers had a fitness challenge up one day on the board. It was a 5-week fitness challenge, and it was the first time I'd ever done one. So I'll describe it to you just so you get an idea of what a 30-day challenge can look like. This one was 5 exercises. It was squats, lunges, jumping jacks, burpees, and sit-ups. Week 1, you did 20 of each. And then each subsequent week, you added 20 more. So that by the end of 5 weeks, you were doing 100 of each. Now, you couldn't move from jumping jacks, let's say, to sit-ups until you had completed the full amount. You could take a break. Certainly, I wasn't able to do 100 push-ups by the end without stopping. But I couldn't do 20 push-ups, then take a break, do 20 jumping jacks. I had to rest, then do 20 more push-ups. I did it in the morning when I woke up, and by the end of 5 weeks, it was a huge accomplishment. I never had to leave my house. I didn't have to wake up early to go to the gym, but I got a lot stronger. And in the beginning, doing 20 push-ups was tough, right? So there are a lot of simple things you can do at home, free, that will really, like I said, start your day waking up and working out. Did you have a question?
Can you again tell me
So it was lunges, squats, jumping jacks, sit-ups, and burpees. So burpees, I can't demonstrate for you because I have a skirt on, but burpees are basically where you put your hands in the air and then you jump down into a plank position, kind of do a push-up, and then jump back up. And you can Google what a burpee looks like and see demonstration. They do it in a lot of football. It is a very tough exercise to do. I had never done one before, so I had to look and see what it looked like, but that was one of the toughest ones for me. But there's all kinds of different 30-day challenges that you can do. And then also charitable races. You know, think about something that you value in your life or your family. That's important to you. Maybe it's, you know, some sort of a cancer walk or autism or any of the causes that are near and dear to your heart. You can either decide to sign up for a race in January and you spend these next few weeks training for it, or even just do, you know, even if it means you're walking a race now, a 5K, and the next time you can run it, that's fine too. Sometimes it helps to have a future goal that you're training towards. Some people get more motivated in that way. And I put this slide, Stay Strong, because I was counseling a young woman a while ago who had an eating disorder and pretty low body image. And she walked in one day to my office after I'd counseled her for months, and she had this big mug and a smile on her face, and it said, "Strong is the new skinny." And that was a big shift in her thought of what was important in her life and why was skinny so important. You know, it's pervasive in our media, but strong sent a much more powerful message to her. So, you know, when you get on the scale, if you get on the scale during the holidays, and sometimes it is a good tool to kind of keep you accountable and know which direction you're going, but don't weigh your self-esteem. That's not what the scale's about. And for some people, they really do weigh their self-esteem when they get on that scale. And I just want you to remember you're more than a number. And some people struggle with weight more than other people. It's their struggle. And so when you get on a scale, it is not telling you how much body fat you have, how much muscle mass you have, water weight. It's just giving you a number of your overall weight. It doesn't tell the whole picture. So keep that in mind, and remember, strength and just gaining health is important too, okay? So eat breakfast. How many people skip breakfast? A couple people, okay. Definitely, you know, when mom would tell you breakfast is the most important meal of the day, it definitely is. It is kind of your metabolic starter. It gets the furnace turned on. It tells your body you're no longer in starvation mode, and so it can afford to burn those calories. So you want to make sure, if you're somebody who skips breakfast and your priority is healthy eating, then your action, and at the end of this talk we're going to have you set an action, would be to start eating breakfast if you're a breakfast skipper. And make it balanced. So when I say make it balanced, include a protein, a carb, a fat, and protein, carb, fat, maybe dairy. Okay, so when I say protein, it could be eggs in the morning, it could be a nut butter, it could be dairy as your protein, or like a soy milk. If it's a carb, it could be fruit, a whole grain like oatmeal or a whole grain cereal, a whole wheat English muffin, and then a fat. So maybe it's the nut butter, which counts as both a fat and a protein. Maybe it's some avocado. Depending on what you cook your eggs in, you could cook them in some olive oil at a lower heat. But you really want to make sure it's not just a carb breakfast, that it's got some protein and fat so that it gives you balanced energy for a good couple hours. Okay? And then that also gives you that stamina that you need to get through the day. My husband always says, don't let yourself get hungry and angry, because that's what happens. And for a lot of people, even though the holidays are a great time of year, it's it's a stressful time of year for a lot of people. On top of working, maybe you're hosting out-of-town family, maybe you're the one hosting some of the holiday parties or family meals, and it's just, for some people it's a little bit of a crazy time of year. And so, making sure you're not skipping meals and getting kind of cranky is important. Colors of the season. So back in the day, we used to really eat based on the seasons and what grew seasonally. Now it's nice. We do live in a global environment where we can get any fruit any time of year. Certainly there's environmental cost to that, but it is nice to think about what things grow easily this time of year, and can we include those in our diet. Just like pumpkin is a common seasonal food. A lot of some of those root vegetables are common this time of year. Maybe you don't eat them other times of year, so you want to start including those. One of the best ways to keep your weight down all year round, but especially at the holidays, if you haven't been mindful of this, is to make half your plate vegetables. And when I say that, I mean not starchy vegetables, not peas, potatoes, corn, cooked carrots, cooked beets. Those are relatively starchy. It's not that they're not potentially healthy for you, but they're going to add up more significantly in calories and as carbohydrates. I'm talking the non-starchy veggies. So cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, zucchini, onions, mushrooms, eggplant, green beans, bell peppers, cabbage, all the lettuce greens. There's a whole host of vegetables, cucumbers, that you could eat that are about 25 calories per cup. So make half your plate. Let that be an action challenge for you, to make half your plate at lunch and dinner non-starchy vegetables. Try and include a variety of colors, because with each color comes a different phytonutrient. So you think about orange is beta carotene, so sweet potatoes have a lot of beta carotene, so do carrots. Red, lycopene from tomatoes. There's anthocyanins from some of the red-blue cabbage, blueberries, green foods. They each offer different vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals that help prevent cancer and other diseases. So when I work with small children, I tell them try and eat a rainbow every day. So that could be another action challenge for you if your priority is healthy eating, that you're going to try and eat a rainbow, if not every day, potentially like every couple days. And really pay attention to what colors you tend to eat a lot of and which colors you tend to miss out on, and then pick some of those vegetables. So, or try a vegetable you don't normally eat. Who has a vegetable they don't normally eat that they feel like they could try? Anybody? Brussels sprouts. So Brussels sprouts are like the most vogue food, right? All the hot chefs right now have made Brussels, they're a starter on a lot of menus now, but do they boil them? No, they roast them. Because when you roast vegetables, you caramelize the little bit of natural sugar in them. That's why roasted asparagus always tastes better than steamed asparagus, and roasted Brussels sprouts in particular are delicious. So if you think, oh, I hate Brussels sprouts, my mom would give them to me as a kid, try cooking them in a different way. Same with cauliflower. Boiled cauliflower does not taste nearly as good as roasted cauliflower. Just olive oil, salt and pepper in the oven, high temperature, on a baking sheet for about 15 minutes. You can Google search a recipe. I say Google like I'm promoting Google. Any search engine, look up a recipe for roasted vegetables, especially roasted cauliflower, and it makes a great side dish. So challenge yourself to try a vegetable that's new and different for you, or an old vegetable that you try to cook in a different way. Now, how many calories are you drinking? And that brings up the first point we had about, maybe this is a time of year where you tend to enjoy alcohol a little bit more frequently. The thing with drinking your calories in general, not just alcohol, is that when you drink your calories, you don't feel as full as when you eat them. So if you were to eat 200 calories of food, you're going to feel pretty full and satisfied. But if you drink them, it's probably not going to prevent you from eating more calories later, like eating those calories would. There's a psychological satisfaction to chewing and swallowing. So comparing what we're drinking to food, just that visualization sometimes helps. So I grabbed this slide. Think like a rum and Coke, similar calories to a blueberry muffin. And we're not talking about the little itty bitty blueberry muffins. We're talking, the big Costco-sized blueberry muffins, okay? Pina colada, probably not a common drink this time of year, more a vacation type of drink, but maybe you're going on vacation somewhere warm for the holidays, equal to a donut, okay? A glass of wine, similar calories to a slice of cake. Now this time of year, maybe you're having both. Maybe you're having the glass of wine and the cake. It's all about how you want to spend your calories, right? It's just like going shopping for the holidays. You have a set budget of how much you can afford to spend, and you've got X number of gifts to buy, and you have to decide how you spend your money. It's the same thing with calories. You need to decide, how do you want to spend your calories? Maybe you're a dessert eater and you would rather spend them eating dessert than drinking some alcohol. It's different for different people. I've counseled some people on weight loss, and they'll look me straight in the eye and they'll say, Jody, don't take my wine away from me. You can take away all the food, give me all the food recommendations. I'm not kidding. But I enjoy my wine and I'm not willing to let that go. It's fine. There's no judgment. It's a personal choice. I will tell them, think about what size, if you're pouring your wine, what size wine glass are you pouring? And if you are somebody who enjoys wine in particular, go home, pour yourself your glass like you normally do, then pour it into a measuring cup. See if it's 4 to 5 ounces. If you are a wine enthusiast and you have one of those large vessels that is meant, as my mom tells me, I don't have the proper wine glasses, but the ones she uses, they're large. And guess what? The larger the portion, the larger the goblet, the more we pour.
The better it tastes.
The better it tastes? No, I'm not sure I agree with that. The first sip or the first bite of anything is always the best. After that, it's the law of diminishing returns, right? That first taste or sip really, well, but you're not as aware, right? You're sober when you take that first sip, so you really take it all in. Liquor, similar calories to a couple sausages, a pint of beer equal to a slice of pizza. So if you're eating pizza and beer, you might really want to think about that. It's a lot of carb. The calories in alcohol are 7 calories per gram. The calories in regular carbohydrates are 4. So alcohol is almost double the amount of calories per gram. And then where we put that weight on tends to be in our middle, right? And frozen margarita also equal to a cheeseburger. Margaritas are some of the highest calorie drinks. So you got to think about, is that how I want to spend my calories? And then also, by that same token, talking about drinks, if you're not an alcohol drinker, but maybe you're a coffee drinker, okay? What are the big seasonal holiday drinks right now? Before we heard somebody say eggnog, right? How about at Starbucks? Lots of fun, fruity, expensive coffee drinks, right? So I jotted down a couple calorie amounts to just kind of give you a rough idea. Now, I have not had this one. I've had the peppermint mocha, but the chestnut praline latte is a seasonal drink. I don't know if anybody's tried that at Starbucks. A grande, which is 12 ounces, or no, actually 16 ounces. A grande, this is with whipped cream, but they make their standard drink is with 2% milk. It's low-fat milk. 330 calories. That's all. 330 calories, 39 grams of sugar. I'm going to round that up to 40 for a purpose, okay? 4 grams of sugar equals a teaspoon of sugar, which is the same as a sugar packet or a sugar cube. So if you divide that 40 grams of sugar by 4, that's 10 teaspoons of sugar in that drink. Would you ever sit and eat 10 teaspoons of sugar? That's a lot, right? And 13 grams of fat. Now, if you want to shrink that, you order a short, I know not a lot of people do this, but you can get a short at Starbucks. It's 8 ounces. That's the size cup that people used to get way back when that doesn't seem to be made anymore. But you can get an 8 ounce, get it without the whipped cream. You can get it non-fat, 100 calories. So you're saving 230 calories, and you're saving over 20 grams of sugar. That's 5 teaspoons of sugar less, and there's no fat in it. Okay, peppermint mocha, 440 calories. I was shocked. The peppermint mocha had even more, over 100 more calories than the chestnut praline. Same size. Lot of chocolate syrup in there and the peppermint syrup. So same idea, just shrink the portion size, go without the whipped cream, maybe go non-fat. Eggnog, just regular eggnog. I'm not talking about eggnog lattes. And I'm not a big eggnog fan, but I know it's kind of a love-hate thing, I think, eggnog. Anybody want to guess how many calories are in 8 ounces? So small cup size. 8 ounces of eggnog.
600.
300.
400.
Close, 340. Wow. 340 calories in an 8-ounce cup. Low-fat eggnog, which I thought was going to be this great, alternative, 280 calories. Not a huge difference, but So I would say if you're only going to have 1 cup of eggnog this whole season, go ahead, enjoy your eggnog. But if it's something you're going to be drinking throughout the holiday season, you're going to buy it and keep it at your house, then I would say look for an alternative, a low-fat alternative, or even dilute it out with some non-fat milk so that you get a little bit of the flavor. So there's lots of little tricks you can do, but to drink 340 calories, it only takes an extra 100 calories a day, and at the end of the month, you've gained a pound. So that 340 calories is definitely going to add up. And the thought of how much exercise you're going to have to do to those 340 calories, by the way, that you enjoyed with that eggnog or the chestnut praline latte, you got to walk an hour to burn that off, or run an extra 30 minutes to burn that off. So going back to exercise, you need to tag that onto your regular exercise routine if you're going to be adding those calories to your diet, and that's a lot. An hour for 1 drink is, you got to decide if it's worth it. So BYOT, bring your own treat. As the nutritionist, always, whenever I go to somebody's house, everybody always asks me to bring the salad or the vegetable. My kids hate it. It's so boring. Oh, what'd they ask you to bring, Mom? The salad or the roasted, or the vegetables? Nobody ever asked me to bring baked goods. Probably it's a good idea because I'm not a good baker, but I love to cook. But make your salad different. This last holiday, a few weeks ago, I was asked to bring a salad. I'd just gotten off a plane, so we hit the market. We happened to be near a Whole Foods, which I don't normally shop at, but I thought, let's go there. We bought a big tub of mixed salad greens, and then I went to where they make their fresh food to go, and I bought some roasted carrots, roasted beets, I think some roasted onions, and then chopped them up at my friend's house, added them to the salad with a little bit of goat cheese and pistachio nuts, and it felt like a really seasonal, different salad than what people eat, during other times of year. So think about, can you add some festive colors to your salad? Can you make it a little different? Can you do a roasted vegetable tray? It's great to serve that cold or lukewarm. It doesn't have to be fresh out of the oven, which is nice. A fruit tray, and again, the fruit trays get a little bit boring, but maybe you do some dark chocolate dipped strawberries also, so that you have an option yourself for a dessert that's fairly healthy, but tastes a little bit indulgent. So think about at least bringing something that you yourself are going to feel good eating. By the same token, like if you're somebody who's a vegetarian or follows a gluten-free diet, you bring something you can eat if everything else doesn't fit kind of your diet plan. And then you don't have to worry, and you don't have to say to the hostess, are you going to have gluten-free foods there? Are you going to have vegetarian? It's nice to just bring something that you yourself can eat, especially if you have a special dietary concern. Try some, Greek yogurt is so popular now. Greek yogurt is just really a higher protein yogurt. It's very similar to sour cream. So I just buy plain Greek yogurt. I tend to like Faye or Chobani's plain Greek yogurt and use that as a substitute for sour cream and dips. It's great. Hummus, baba ganoush, there's lots of dips instead of the ranch and the onion dips and the spinach artichoke dips. These are healthier options. And then also, if you're a drinker, maybe you decide to bring a low-calorie mixer or some club soda or something so you can make a wine spritzer, or you can make a festive drink that doesn't have alcohol but looks like a cocktail. And I say that because, you know, even adults, sometimes you might feel pressured to drink. People will say to you, oh, well, you know, you're not having a cocktail this holiday, and sometimes that gets annoying. And so, you know, if you pour a club soda with a spritz of lime in it, nobody needs to know that there isn't vodka in it, and then nobody's bothering you to say, oh, what do you know? And it's funny, but people like to drink together. And they don't like when somebody isn't, some people just don't like it when somebody else isn't drinking. And I don't know if you've ever been in that situation, but it's just a funny thing, peer pressure. So making sure, you know, you have some alternatives for yourself is really important. And don't always focus on the food. You know, the parties and these holiday times are more than just about the food, right? So, you know, think about setting an intention to talk to somebody you don't normally talk to, or meet somebody new, and kind of change your viewpoint about the party in that way. If I'm hosting a party, I always love to have a game to play, to kind of break up, either between breaking up the meal and dessert time, or, you know, cocktail time in the meal, to give people something fun to do, something different that gives people a chance to mingle. And then also, how many of you feel like you stand close to the food table or to the bar area, right? And when we do that, especially if socially you get a little bit nervous or a little bit of anxiety, we tend to eat when we're nervous or drink more when we're nervous. And so physically removing yourself away from that food table, put a barrier there, walk away, go somewhere else in the room, in the party, so that you don't have that constant visual cue. It's the same with the cookie jar, right? If the cookie jar is on the counter, it's always talking to you. You're always seeing it. For some people, visual cues are what gets you to eat. You're not always listening to your hunger. So when you stand by a table full of food, you might not even be hungry, but when you're looking at it, it kind of makes you want to eat it, right? So I chose this picture because for those of you who cook versus baking, and it's really the same with baking too, the whole time you're cooking, if you're constantly tasting, those calories aren't freebies, right? They do actually count. So, you know, if you're somebody who is routinely tasting, do you ever get to the point where by the time you've actually finished making the meal and you get to sit down, you're not even hungry anymore? It's kind of like the tortilla chips at the Mexican restaurant, and by the time your entree comes, if you really checked in with yourself, you'd say, I'm not even hungry anymore, right? So it's the same with the chef cooking. So a couple ideas for pacing yourself. One, don't arrive to the party too early, and my mom would be so mad if she heard me saying this, but it's okay to be fashionably late. The longer you're at the party, the more you are likely to be eating and drinking. So you know, maybe you cut it down a little bit by getting there a little bit later. You maybe set an intention to limit your alcohol before you even get there. Maybe you've set a rule for yourself. I'm only going to have X number of drinks. You don't have to tell anybody that. It's just in your own head, but you keep that in mind. Maybe you do the same thing with appetizers. You count your apps. Maybe you say to yourself, I'm just going to let myself have like 1 or 2 appetizers. Or maybe you say, I'm going to avoid any of the fried appetizers. Kind of set a game plan for yourself before you arrive, because otherwise you're eating a lot of appetizers, and before dinner even happens, between the bread and the appetizers, you've added a lot of extra calories. Anybody else feel like this is something that happens a lot at the holidays with the appetizers, whether it's eating out or at a party? Don't taste too much while cooking, and then be selective with your desserts. And think about, and I'd like you to write on the back of this red piece of paper, real quickly, write 2 holiday foods, party foods, that you love. Just right off the top of your head, the 2 that you love the most, and 2 you don't like, but you tend to eat anyways, okay? So 2 that you love, couldn't live without them, and 2 that you end up eating and then you just think, you know, I don't even really like that, right? And if you can only think of one of each, that's okay too. If one of the foods how many people, when I said that, think of desserts more than like savory things? Okay, and then are the rest of you thinking more savory dishes? Okay, I'm surprised. I thought we'd have more dessert eaters. So the one that you really love, you don't have to give that one up during the holidays. You know, that's the one that's festive, that you enjoy, maybe that you don't eat all year round. But the one that you don't even really like, that's the one to get rid of, right? That's where you're not going to spend your calories. I'm not a big fan of pumpkin pie. Maybe if they made pumpkin cheesecake, I would, you know, have a couple bites of that. But if I eat pumpkin pie afterwards, I'm thinking, I don't even really like pumpkin pie. That wasn't worth my calories to me. If it was something else, maybe it would be. So, but sometimes it's just that desserts serve that we feel like, oh, it's time to eat dessert. And if you checked in with yourself, you'd find it doesn't even really seem that appealing to you, right? So be choosy. I mean, this is your time to be choosy. You get to decide how you're spending your calories. You know, think about it, be intentional. Maybe you go for more of like the shrimp cocktail for appetizers, because they're not fried, they're pretty low in calorie, they're high in protein, they're gonna make you feel full and satisfied. Maybe you decide you're gonna avoid some of the entrees that have more cream sauces, and you're gonna go for more of chicken or fish. You think about how you wanna make some of these decisions, and same with desserts. Go for the one you really like, maybe see if you have a partner, maybe they want to share with you, and then you're only eating half of that, right? And then you're sharing the calories, and that's a nice way to go, because anybody ever do the whole, you know, you get a big plate and you do a sampler, right? You take one of a bunch of different desserts and you think, I'm just going to eat a bite of each one, but does that happen? Do you end up eating just a bite of each one? Or do you end up really like eating more than that of each one? So sometimes it's better to just pick the one that looks the best and go with that. And then also think about staying away from the buffet, not going too often. So outsmart the buffet. Think about downsizing, and we'll look at plates in a second, but don't stack it. How many of you think like, I'm gonna get my plate, I'm gonna fill the bottom, and I'm gonna kind of start stacking some extra stuff on top, right? Don't stack it. You know, take the action that I'm just gonna serve myself enough that can fit on this plate, and I'm gonna go one time only. Maybe that's your action plan. One trip to the buffet table, and that's it. Again, you don't have to tell anybody else this is your plan, but in your mind, you've decided that that's your plan. And when I say downsizing, an 8.5-inch plate is what restaurants used to do. That was the traditional size of a plate. Now, we're at 12 inches and beyond, okay? A lot bigger. And when we grab a plate, a bowl, a mug, a wine glass, the larger it is, we want to fill it. Psychologically, as humans, we like to see things full and not empty. So one of the best tricks you can do at the buffet table is if there's a salad plate and a dinner plate, grab the salad plate and let that be your dinner plate, okay? And then you can fill it don't stack it, but you've already shrunk your size. So at dinner, when I serve dinner at home, we have like medium-sized luncheon plates and then dinner plates. My husband and son, I serve them on dinner plates, but for myself and my daughter, we're smaller. We just, if I serve myself on a dinner plate, I like to fill it. So I've shrunk my plate so that I can still fill it. It looks visually pleasing to me, but I know I'm eating less, and it's better, really. And then I don't have to really think about it. It's a lot harder to take the 12-inch plate and not take as much food. That's why Costco is not a great place to shop, because the bigger the bags you buy, the more you serve yourself. You buy that big old bag of tortilla chips, trust me, you're gonna give yourself more. You're always better off not doing that. It might be convenient to not have to go shopping as often, but you're actually more likely to gain weight buying bigger sizes of things. And just to conclude, I've got a couple more slides left. Try not to go hungry. A lot of people save up their calories. They think, you know what, I'm going to the party tonight. Maybe I'll just skip breakfast and lunch and just use all my calories later. Not a great idea. First of all, the hungrier you get, the less likely you are to make good choices, right? So you actually want to go to the party not full, but content. Don't skip meals that day. Maybe you eat a little bit lighter, but definitely don't skip meals, because you ever let yourself get to the point of just starvation? You get home and you open the pantry and whatever the first thing your hand can grab, it's grabbing. And usually we crave sweets and fats when we're really hungry. We're not craving protein and vegetables, right? That's not what we're going for when we're starving. So you make better choices when you aren't starving. So don't go to the party hungry. Enjoy the rare stuff. Like I said, if it's once a year that you're getting to enjoy this, enjoy it and let yourself enjoy it. But if it's going to be, you know, every day for the next few weeks, you really have to start counting that into your calorie expenditure. And change your focus. Instead of looking at the plateful, really look at what you're grateful for this time of year, and get the focus away from food and really about you know, what great things you have to be thankful for. That's really what the holidays are all about. It doesn't have to be so stressful. Think about being mindful, not just in what you're grateful for, but your hunger and fullness cues. Listen to them. A lot of times we don't do that. You know, where do you eat? Where do we see people eating meals? They're in front of their phone, they're in front of TV, in front of their computer, at their desk, very distracted. So take it in. If you're eating with a friend, no distractions. But if you're by yourself, really put the electronics away and try and be really intentional about what you're eating, and slow down. If you're a speedy eater, just setting the action plan that you're going to slow down can really help. And it sounds silly to do the whole chew your food, you know, 14 times before you swallow, put your fork down between, you know, bites. But for some people, they need that reminder to slow them down. Some people are always the last one at the table and are naturally slow eaters. But many of us, we're just used to rushing. And you got to give your brain a chance to talk to your stomach and let it know that you're full. And if you eat in 5 minutes, the brain has not had a chance to talk to the stomach and send the hormone cues that you're getting close to full. So enjoy your food. It's you know, it's meant to be a very an engagement of all your senses, you know, sight and smell and taste, and it's a time to gather. It's a time for cultures and traditions, so enjoy it. Look what happens to Santa when he takes all of my advice. The elf looks very confused, like, I don't know what to do with this guy. He doesn't look jolly anymore. Well, maybe he looks jolly, but he looks like he could be on the cover of Men's Health magazine. And lastly, use some of the great technology that we have now with smartphones, there are so many great apps to choose from, and a lot of them are free. So I wrote down a couple of these for you guys, and some of them are more common and you've probably heard of them. But on the nutrition side, MyFitnessPal, that's just simply really a calorie tracker. All of the food on UCI's campus, the dining halls and a lot of the food venues, they're all tracked on MyFitnessPal. So if you tend to eat on campus, it's a great way to go. You can look everything up through there. The Noom Coach, that's something new. That's a food calorie tracker, but it'll also make suggestions based on what you're inputting. It'll notice your trends and say, oh, I noticed that you drink a peppermint mocha. You might want to switch to, and it'll give you suggestions for some things that you might switch to promote a healthier lifestyle. And it also offers some virtual groups for people who are on similar weight loss journeys who need group support. So there's some great virtual groups with Noom Coach. Some of those extras cost money, but the actual app itself is free for the basic service. Fitbit's a great tracker. MapMyFitness, Runtastic. They can map your bike ride, your run, your hike, tell you how long you went, how far you went, what kind of time rate you're going at. And Nike Training Club is a great one for personal training. Again, it's free, so if you're somebody who works out at home, that's a great one. And Sworkit is kind of like those 30-day challenges, gives you high-intensity body workouts. You can choose the high-intensity ones. You can choose yoga. You can choose strength. You can choose cardio. And then it'll give you different plans, so you can watch it and get an idea of different things to do. So with that, I'll leave you with the new day comes new strength and new thoughts. Thank you. And unfortunately, it's already a little after 1. I put my business cards out there. If you have any specific nutrition-related questions, feel free to send me an email, and I'll try and get to them, in the next week or so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.